Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
And my pleasure to welcome once again to the radio the chair of the Kapiti Chamber of Commerce, Jacinda Thorn. Jacinda, good morning. Hasn't the world changed?
Hello. I know, it feels like every time we talk, it changes again.
Indeed. But this time, I think we're getting to grips with things a little. We're working through the various issues, and I think that we've done some amazing work in the last few weeks. And I'm thinking about your husband, who I know works, and he's been working at home, and his team have been working at home very, very effectively. I suspect that he's not alone, Jacinda.
No, I don't think he is. And look, I've been working at home, and, you know, most people, everyone is pretty much, unless you are one of our essential workers who go out every day and keep things ticking over. But I think we're going to see a change. And over the next few months, we had to go into this working from home space really fast. But now we've got processes bedded in and people are getting used to it. I think we're going to see a lot more people giving up the commute to work from home and stay local.
And I think that has got some potential advantages for the Kapiti Coast.
Oh, it totally does. I mean, I looked at the congestion on the roads. You know, we saw that as we went into level 2, it got immediately busier. And obviously our train capacity is still reduced at 30%. So there isn't a lot of ways to get in and out of Wellington. But I think in the long term, if we've got more people living here, working here, it's better for the region because the roads are less clogged. Better for our local economy because, you know, we're going out and getting coffees and food and lunch from local businesses. And we have so many people who hop on the train and head to Wellington every single day and they take their money with them. And, you know, they do the commute home and, you know, it is a long, long day. So if we can sort of shift the mindset into working from home is, you know, perfectly acceptable, way more productive, it would be fantastic. And I think we'd have more people coming to live out here because they get the benefits and the lifestyle while being able to keep their jobs, you know, and not have to deal with all the bits and pieces that come with getting on the train at 6:30 in the morning.
And you're losing 2 hours of your life if you're going by train, and then you've got to negotiate Wellington itself. So, look, I've been there. And, of course, there is also the advantages to the environment with less vehicles on the road. So many advantages there. But this has been a difficult time for business. I believe that recently you have done a survey of Kapiti businesses, and the impact was very high.
Yeah, so this was part of a nationwide survey that all the chambers of commerce did, and it was just a really simple snapshot of level 3 to understand, you know, to what capacity could people, you know, operate. And, you know, there was 30% of our businesses who were unable to. And, you know, I mean, it could be for a variety of reasons, but my gut tells me there's a lot of people out there who just weren't prepared for the ability of going online. And so this is a contingency planning thing now, you know, like what do I need to do to keep my business operating during, you know, circumstances like this? I mean, it is unprecedented, but it has exposed there are some gaps in the market and, you know, what business owners could be doing to give themselves a little bit of a runway to make it through.
I believe it showed that around about a third of local businesses did not have the capacity to operate online. That's a bit of a shocker in 2020, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, for some of them, you know, like if you own a mechanic shop, that could be, you know, or you're selling cars, it could be slightly different, but you've always got that ability to communicate with your customers online and to, you know, get your marketing plan sorted and offer deals online and all those things. So even if you can't physically do what you would normally do, there are so many other ways you can leverage your visibility online and make it work. And look, some of the businesses that have thrived are the ones who have gone, okay, we can't do it like we normally would. How shall we do it? And they've put something new in place and it's worked. And you look at all the retail and the hospitality businesses we've got around the coast. There was the new SOS website that went up where you could buy vouchers in anticipation of level 2 to support your local cafes. And I've heard that's been incredibly vital for a number of our business owners around here to get them through with cash flow. So it's just thinking outside the box. Yes, you may not be able to open your cafe, make coffee, but, what else could you be doing in that space to keep your business ticking over?
And one really good example of that is a neighbour of ours here at BTFM, the wonderful Hungarian cafe Ansel,
yep.
who just turned on a dime. They produced a whole new business, Ansel to Go, and they've been delivering hundreds of beautiful meals, reasonably priced. They've built up a brand new business, and I believe they're going to carry on that business
Amazing.
as well. So that can be an example of what is possible by being a really agile and responsive business.
Well, it's a whole new revenue stream too, if you think about it. Like if you've always operated with a physical shop front, and that's it, but now you've got another revenue stream. So you're actually making your business more resilient by adding in these new ways of operating.
Many businesses, though, I imagine, have to be struggling because while the government wage subsidy came through, and I'm sure was much appreciated, there are a whole bunch of fixed costs that don't go away, and I imagine commercial rents would be one of the most troublesome for many of your members.
Yeah, and it's actually been a really big concern of ours because, obviously it is up to landlords to decide how they want to handle this tricky period. And in our survey, we were really stoked to hear that, 30% of our members who responded had been offered a discount during the lockdown period.
Great.
For some people, it didn't apply because we've got a high number of people who are self-employed and work from home anyway. So there was a third in there that did have some kind of relief, but then there was almost 40% who didn't. And so if you own a business and you've still got to pay rent, and the rents aren't necessarily cheap for commercial spaces, and there's no room for negotiation, that could put you in the ground. Mm-hmm. And so our message is, we all are in this together, and, we want landlords to think really long term. Like if you were to end a lease of a tenant because they hadn't paid their rent and your business is your building will sit vacant for, however many months, you're going to lose out. It makes sense to retain your tenants and, work through with it together. I've heard some businesses have paid 10% of their rents just to keep the lease ticking over, which is fantastic. So we really want to make sure our commercial landlords are thinking about the long term as well, because the last thing we want is businesses having to close because there is no room to move on their rent.
Absolutely. I'm a little bit worried, Jacinda. Then there's another lady called Jacinda in this country, you may have noticed. And she has provided exemplary leadership and clarity of communication. And the country has rallied around. They rallied around the flag. There's been a bit of adrenaline flowing. I think there may have even been a bit of excitement. But I've got a feeling that we could have a bit of the sugar rush will subside, that we've got some really hard times ahead of us. And it is going to be a long grind for business, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've heard someone describe it as a dead cat bounce, right? So
yes,
we come out of this and we're like excited because life gets back to normal and we can go do those things we've missed. But then job losses, you would have seen Fletcher's have announced 10% of their workforce are going to be made redundant. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Even though businesses can operate at level 2, it's still reduced capacity. And so then they're not able to trade at what they were able to pre-COVID. So there's an initial rush, and I think that we will see there's a recession coming and household budgets are going to be clipped. And, people aren't going to spend the way they used to. So my concern and, our board's concern is, get out there and we support local now. But what happens in 3 or 4 months when there's a little bit of fatigue or, you're on reduced hours or you don't have as much money coming in. And I think that's really going to be where the rubber hits the road. And so, the businesses have got the wage subsidy now. It's been extended for 8 weeks for, certain businesses as well. What happens when we get through that, which would take us into sort of the August period. And I think that'll be the time we'll start to see some of the real impacts of what's happened in the last 6-7 weeks.
So support local, and yes, it has been an interesting period, but now it becomes really important because we could lose so much of what we currently have if we don't support it. As they say, use it or lose it, and that's the reality, isn't it?
Exactly, and I love seeing how much our local businesses and the local community are just backing each other and it's a real nice, it's got a really good, feel-good vibe to it all, and I just want people to keep doing that. Like, don't forget, it's great now, but we're going to need this in a 3 months' time and in 6 months' time. And I actually would love to see the way we shop and consume actually go back to the local in the long term. You know, we've got so much here in Kapiti. We've got a vibrant business community, and we've got people doing amazing things. We don't need to look overseas for things. We don't need to even go out of Kapiti to get, you know, what we need. So if we make Kapiti our first choice when we are shopping, I think in the long term it'll be better off for everyone.
Absolutely. Jacinda Thorn, Chair of the Kapiti Coast Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for joining us. I suspect we're going to be talking more often over the next few months. The real challenge is just ahead, I suspect. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
106.3 Beach FM.